Alien girls came to Earth for vacation, left pregnant. The planet Earth had many names across the galaxy. Most of them were not flattering. In official records, Earth was listed as a Class C developing world. It had weak defenses, slow space travel, and noisy political systems. Its people argued often, laughed loudly, and made decisions based on emotions more than logic. Because of this, most advanced species did not see Earth as important, but that was exactly why it became popular. To the wealthy citizens of advanced civilizations, Earth was known by another name, a safe vacation planet. On a bright artificial morning, far from Earth, 5 young alien women floated inside a luxury transport vessel. Their species was called the Alori, tall, silver-skinned, with smooth, glowing eyes and calm voices. They were thousands of years ahead of humans in science and medicine. War, hunger, and disease had been solved long ago. Life for the Alori was perfect and boring. Lyra was the first to speak. She leaned back in her gravity seat and stared at the holographic image of Earth rotating slowly in front of them. "So this is it," she said. "The emotional planet." Her friend Sail tilted her head. "I still don't understand why people enjoy places like this. No control, no order." "That's the point," Lyra replied. "No expectations, no performance reviews, just experience." The others agreed. The Alori lived in a society where everything was planned: careers, partnerships, even reproduction. Children were created only in labs after genetic approval. Emotional bonding was considered unnecessary and inefficient. Earth was the opposite. That made it exciting. The Galactic Travel Authority had approved Earth as a low-risk destination. Humans had been welcoming visitors for decades now. The rules were simple: no advanced technology sharing, no political interference, and no harm to the local population. Vacation only. The transport ship entered Earth's atmosphere silently, masked by advanced cloaking systems. It landed near a coastal city filled with blue water, bright skies, and warm air. The 5 Alori stepped out, their forms disguised to appear human. The illusion was perfect. Anyone looking at them would see 5 young women with different hair colors and soft smiles. The moment their feet touched the ground, something strange happened. Lyra paused. "Do you feel that?" she asked. Sail nodded slowly. "The air, it feels heavy." "Thick," another one said, "but pleasant." Their medical systems reported no danger. Oxygen levels were safe. Gravity was slightly uncomfortable but manageable. Everything was within approved limits. And yet something felt different. A group of humans passed by, laughing loudly. One of them dropped a bag and another immediately helped pick it up. No reward, no obligation. The Alori watched in silence. "Why did he help?" Sail asked. "There was no benefit," said Kira, the most logical among them. "No exchange." Lyra smiled faintly. "Maybe helping is the benefit." They spent the first days exploring. Beaches, streets, open markets, small cafes. Humans spoke freely, shared stories with strangers, and smiled without reason. The Alori found themselves drawn into conversations. A human vendor gave them extra food, just because. A child waved at them from across the street. A musician played music that made something inside their chests feel warm and tight at the same time. Their internal systems recorded unusual activity, increased neural responses, heightened sensory input, and emotional simulation spikes. "This music," Sail said one evening, sitting near the shore, "it creates patterns that do not exist in our databases." "It feels personal," Lyra said, "as if it is speaking directly to me." None of them realized that their bodies were responding in ways no Alori had ever documented before. Back on their home world, scientists monitored their vitals. Everything looked normal, though a few readings were slightly outside expected ranges. "Probably atmospheric adjustment," one researcher said. "Humans live chaotically. Their environment reflects that." The vacation continued. The Alori learned about human traditions. Shared meals. stories passed down through families, celebrations that had no logical purpose except joy. They observed couples holding hands, arguing, forgiving, laughing again. "This is inefficient," Kira said once. "Emotional attachment creates vulnerability." "And yet," Lyra replied, watching a human family walking together, "they seem stronger because of it." Days turned into weeks. The Alari noticed they were sleeping more, dreaming. Their dreams were filled with colors, voices, and feelings they had no words for. Their medical systems logged the dreams as non-threatening anomalies. One afternoon, Lyra sat with a human woman named Emma in a small park. Emma talked about her life, her fears, her hopes, her mistakes. "Why are you telling me this?" Lyra asked gently. Emma shrugged. "Because you listened." That answer stayed with Lyra. Listening had value here. Connection had value. The Alari began to understand that humans did not survive because they were the strongest or smartest. They survived because they bonded, adapted, and cared, sometimes without knowing why. As their vacation came to an end, none of them wanted to leave. "This planet is dangerous," Sale said quietly on their last night. "How?" Kira asked. "It changes you." They returned to their ship, minds full of memories and systems full of data that did not fit existing models. As the vessel lifted into space, Earth faded into a blue dot behind them. On the surface, humans continued their lives, unaware that anything unusual had occurred. But deep within the Alori bodies, something had already begun. Cells were behaving differently. Adaptive processes long thought inactive were responding to human exposure, emotional, environmental, and biological. Back home, the medical AIs would soon notice. And when they did, the galaxy would realize that Earth was never just a vacation planet. It was a catalyst. The Alori homeworld was a place of perfect balance. Tall white towers floated above green plains. Transportation moved silently. No one hurried because time was carefully planned. Every citizen knew their role from birth. Chaos had been removed from life long ago. That was why the alarm shocked everyone. In the central medical complex, a soft blue light turned red for the first time in centuries. Dr. Vesh stood frozen as the data scrolled across the air in front of her. Her calm training struggled to keep her voice steady. "This must be an error," she said. The medical AI did not respond emotionally. It simply repeated the result. "Unauthorized biological development detected. 5 patients, all recently returned from Earth." Lyra was the first to be called in. She walked into the medical chamber feeling strangely nervous. That feeling alone was unusual. Alori were not meant to feel nervous. Emotions were regulated from childhood. Dr. Vesh gestured for her to sit. "Your vacation on Earth," the doctor said carefully. "Did you experience anything unexpected?" Lyra thought of music by the sea, of conversations that felt warm, of listening. "No," she answered honestly, "only rest." The scan began. The room fell silent. Then the AI spoke again, confirmed, "Biological gestation in progress." Dr. Vesh stared at the display, her eyes wide. "That is not possible," she whispered. Gestation, natural reproduction, had not occurred in Alori society for over 10,000 years. Their species had evolved past it. Reproduction was controlled, artificial, and rare. Lyra felt a strange pressure in her chest. "What does that mean?" "It means," Dr. Vesh said slowly, "that your body is doing something it should not be able to do." Within hours, Sale, Kira, and the others were tested. All 5 showed the same result. The impossible had happened. Emergency councils were called. Scientists, leaders, and artificial intelligences gathered to examine the data. The conclusion was the same every time. Cross-species reproduction with humans was believed to be genetically impossible. Humans were too different, too unstable, too emotional. And yet the evidence existed. "The human genome shows extreme adaptability," one scientist explained. "It reacts rather than resists." Another added, Their emotional bonding triggers hormonal responses that alter cellular behavior. The council chamber grew tense. "You are saying," one elder said, "that exposure to human culture caused this?" "Yes," the scientist replied. "Not force, not intention, exposure." Earth was immediately placed under observation. All travel permits were suspended. A quarantine notice was prepared. "This cannot be allowed to happen again," the High Council declared. "If humanity can change us without knowing, they are a risk." Meanwhile, the 5 Alori women were kept under constant medical supervision. Their emotions fluctuated in ways the system struggled to regulate. Lyra found herself thinking about Earth often, about Emma, about listening. She placed a hand over her abdomen, not fully understanding why she did so. "What is happening to me?" she asked Dr. Vesh one day. The doctor hesitated. "Your body believes it is protecting something." "That word," Lyra said, "protecting. Why does it feel important?" Dr. Vesh had no answer. As days passed, the gestation stabilized. The unborn life forms showed strong health markers, stronger than expected, too strong. "They are adapting faster than our own biology," a researcher reported. "Neural development is accelerating." "And emotionally?" another asked. The AI paused longer than usual before responding. Emotional processing pathways active. Silence filled the room. That was when fear began to spread. Across the galaxy, whispers started. Alori pregnancies caused by humans, emotional contamination, biological breach. Other species took notice. "If humans can do this to the Alori," one alien ambassador said, "what could they do to us?" Earth was summoned to explain. A massive alien delegation arrived in Earth's orbit, their ships blocking out stars. News spread across human networks within minutes. People panicked. Governments argued. Scientists demanded data. When the official message arrived, it was calm but cold. "Humanity," the galactic envoy announced, "you are responsible for an unprecedented biological event. You will cooperate." Human leaders were confused. "We didn't do anything," one said. "They were tourists." "And yet," the envoy replied, "your presence changed them." Human scientists began studying the information shared by the Alori. As they compared data, a pattern emerged. Humans had evolved through constant disaster, ice ages, plagues, wars, near extinction. Adaptability was not a trait, it was survival. "Our bodies respond to connection," a human biologist explained. "Stress, bonding, trust, it all affects our biology." "And apparently," another added, "it affects others too." The Galactic Council debated harsh measures, isolation, sanctions, even memory wipes. But then something unexpected happened. The 5 Alori women spoke. "We refuse termination," Sale said clearly. The council froze. Termination was standard procedure for unauthorized biological events. Clean, efficient. "This life is stable," Lyra added, "and it exists because of choice, not force." "You are compromised," an elder said sharply, "emotionally influenced." "Yes," Lyra replied, "and that influence made us aware." They stood together. For the first time in Alori history, citizens defied the council, not through violence but unity. Human representatives watched in silence. Something shifted. The galaxy began to understand that humanity did not conquer with weapons. They changed environments. They changed people, and the children growing inside the Alori were proof. As the council delayed its final decision, one thing became clear. Earth was no longer a quiet vacation planet. It was a variable the galaxy could no longer control. And the story was only beginning. The galaxy watched Earth closely now. Hundreds of alien ships stayed in high orbit, silent and unmoving. They did not attack. They did not leave. They simply watched, like careful predators studying something they did not fully understand. On Earth, fear spread fast. News channels spoke day and night about the Alori pregnancies. Social networks argued endlessly. Some humans felt guilty. Some felt proud. Others were simply confused. We didn't do anything wrong, many said, and they were right. Inside a large meeting hall built specially for the galactic talks, humans and aliens sat across from each other. There were no weapons, only words. Ambassador Helen Moore stood calmly at the center. She was not a soldier or a scientist. She was chosen because she listened well. The Alori High Council appeared as glowing figures above their seats. Humanity, one elder said, you are a biological anomaly. You influence without intent. That makes you dangerous. Helen did not raise her voice. We didn't plan this. We didn't force anything. Your people came freely. That does not change the result, the elder replied. Behind the council, medical data floated in the air. Images of developing hybrid children rotated slowly. Their neural patterns were complex, balanced between logic and emotion. Too balanced. Human scientists were allowed limited access to the data. What they found surprised even them. These children aren't unstable, Dr. Amir Khan said quietly. They're efficient. Emotion supports logic instead of fighting it. The Alori scientists confirmed it. The unborn children showed strong emotional awareness, high learning speed, natural resistance to external mental control. That last detail caused panic. Many advanced species relied on neural guidance systems, soft control, emotional dampening, population stability. The children would be immune. If they grow, one alien delegate warned, they will change society. That's not destruction, Helen said. That's evolution. The council did not agree. They proposed strict rules. Earth isolated, no further contact. The children raised under council supervision. The room grew tense. Then Lyra spoke. She stood slowly, her posture steady but her eyes bright. She had changed. Everyone could see it. No, she said, the word echoed. You do not own what is growing inside us, Lyra continued. And you will not take our children. A murmur spread across the chamber. You are speaking emotionally, an elder said. Yes, Lyra replied, and clearly. Sale stepped forward beside her. We were taught emotion was weakness. Earth showed us it is strength. Kiera, once the most logical, nodded. Our society removed pain. It also removed growth. The High Council had no response prepared for this. Never before had citizens challenged them in public. On Earth, millions watched the broadcast. Humans felt something stir inside them. Not pride, responsibility. If this is our fault, Helen said, then we will stand with them. That sentence changed everything. Alien observers expected denial, excuses, blame. Instead, humanity accepted responsibility without guilt. Human scientists worked day and night, not to control the situation but to understand it. They shared everything openly. Our history is chaos, Dr. Khan explained during one session. We survive by adapting to it. Emotion helps us decide when logic has no answer. The Alori researchers began to notice something else. The pregnant women were healthier than average Alori citizens. Their immune systems were stronger. Their neural responses faster. Emotion was not damaging them. It was improving them. Other alien species started asking questions. What if humans are not a threat, one asked, but a mirror? Fear slowly turned into curiosity. Then an incident occurred. A small alien faction, afraid of change, attempted to interfere. They sent a covert signal meant to suppress the pregnancies remotely. The signal failed. Not only that, it triggered a defensive response. The unborn children reacted. Medical systems recorded a sudden neural pulse, perfectly synchronized between all 5 pregnancies. No pain. No harm, just protection. The room went silent as the data displayed. They defended themselves, a scientist whispered, without technology, without intent. Instinct. The council realized something terrifying. These children could not be controlled, and neither could humanity. Emergency votes were called. Some species demanded immediate isolation of Earth forever. Others argued for alliance. The debate lasted days. During that time, Lyra and the others remained calm. They spoke often with human volunteers, learning language, humor, and patience. Lyra asked Helen one day, "Are humans afraid of us?" Helen smiled softly. "Yes, but we still try to understand." That answer mattered. Finally, the council reached a decision. Earth would not be isolated. Instead, it would be reclassified, not as a threat, not as a protected world, but as a catalyst species environment. A rare category used only once before in ancient history and then erased. The announcement shocked the galaxy. Humans were not conquerors. They were not gods. They were something more unsettling. They changed others simply by being themselves. The Elari women were granted full autonomy. The children would be raised with both cultures. As the alien ships slowly moved away from Earth's orbit, people around the world watched the stars clear. The danger was not over. But something new had begun. Humanity stood at the center of the galaxy, not because they demanded it, but because others could no longer ignore them. And somewhere far above Earth, 5 unborn lives waited patiently. They carried logic. They carried emotion. And they carried the future. Time moved differently after the decision. The alien fleets left Earth's orbit, one by one, until the sky looked normal again. People returned to work. Children went to school. Planes crossed the clouds like they always had. But something deep had changed. Humanity was no longer alone. On the Elori homeworld, preparations began that had never existed before. Rooms were redesigned to feel warm instead of perfect. Light was softened. Music, once considered useless, was studied and played. Lyra walked slowly through a garden that had recently been rebuilt. Real plants now grew in the soil instead of perfect artificial copies. She liked the way the wind moved their leaves in different ways each day. Inside her, life continued to grow. The medical reports were calm now. No alarms, no panic. The children were stable and strong. Their development followed patterns no database could fully predict. Dr. Vesh stood beside Lyra, holding a tablet filled with data. "You are healthier than before," the doctor said honestly. "All of you are," Lyra smiled. "Then perhaps what we removed from our society was never weakness." Across the galaxy, other species watched closely. Some were afraid, others were curious. A few quietly sent requests to study human culture, not to copy it but to understand it. On Earth, Ambassador Helen Moore visited schools, labs, and public halls. She spoke often but always carefully. "We didn't change the galaxy by force," she told one group. "We changed it by being human." Scientists continued their work. They discovered that the hybrid children processed emotion and logic together without conflict. Where one guided, the other supported. "These children won't replace us," Dr. Amir Khan explained. "They'll remind us what balance looks like." As the time of birth approached, a shared station was built between Earth and the Elori system. It was not a military base or a research lab. It was a place for families. When the day came, it was quiet. No crowds, no cameras, no celebration orders, just people human and alien waiting together. Lyra held Sale's hand. Kira stood nearby, calm but alert. Human doctors and Elori healers worked side by side, sharing tools and trust. The first child was born. There was no dramatic moment, no strange energy. Just a small cry, soft but strong. The room held its breath. The child opened their eyes. They were different, not half of one and half of another, something new. Their eyes focused quickly, too quickly. They looked around, calm and curious, as if the world made sense to them already. One by one, the others were born, all healthy, all quiet, all watching. When news reached the wider galaxy, reactions came fast. Some species celebrated, others warned of danger. A few prepared defenses just in case, but the children did nothing. They grew. Years passed. The children learned languages easily. They understood stories, not just words. They could feel when someone was afraid and respond with calm. When someone was angry, they listened. They asked questions adults could not answer. "Why did you stop feeling?" one asked an Elori elder. The elder had no reply. On Earth, humans noticed changes too. Alien visitors came not as tourists but as students. They learned music, shared meals, laughed at simple jokes they did not fully understand but wanted to. Conflict did not disappear, but it softened. The children, now older, were invited to speak before the Galactic Council, not as leaders, not as symbols, as listeners. One of them stepped forward. Their voice was steady. "You fear change," the child said. "So did we, but fear does not stop change. It only decides how painful it will be." The council listened. That alone was historic. Slowly, laws changed. Emotional intelligence became valued alongside logic. Control systems were reduced. Choice returned to societies that had forgotten it. Earth was no longer labeled dangerous. It was labeled essential. Humanity never ruled the galaxy. They never needed to. They taught it how to feel again. One evening, Lyra stood on a balcony overlooking Earth. Beside her stood her child, now taller, eyes reflecting stars. "Do you miss the old world?" the child asked. Lyra thought for a moment. "No," she said. "I miss what we never allowed ourselves to be." The child nodded, understanding. Far away, messages spread from system to system, carried not by orders but by stories. Stories of a small blue planet where people listened, where they helped without reward, where they changed the galaxy without trying. The final galactic record was simple. Do not underestimate a species that survives through connection. They do not conquer worlds, they change them. And humanity, still imperfect, still emotional, looked up at the stars and smiled. They had always belonged there,